Yo, welcome to the Gig Life Podcast. I'm your host, Stevie Taylor. My guest today is Ben Todd. From Adelaide and from a long line of drummers, Ben spent 13 years with Cirque du Soleil as a drummer and musical director, and these days plays with the likes of Dojorise, the Superjesus, as well as other theatre shows, including Beauty and the Beast, which he's currently on, and he also plays a whole bunch of gigs around town. Ben also has a podcast, YouTube channel called Drummer's Perspective, which is really cool. This was a cool hang. Hope you guys dig it. This is episode 156. Ben Todd, here we go. I think we're rolling. Ben Todd, what's going on, man?
How's it going?
Good, bud. Good. How's the weather in Adelaide today?
The weather in Adelaide, it's lovely actually.
Yeah?
It's a little cooler, but it's nice and sunny. So yeah, it's good. And now it's the 1st of May, so I live up in the Adelaide Hills, and today's the first day we can have like a fire outside again. So
awesome.
I've been looking forward to that. Get a little campfire going. And
so is that due to like fire restrictions and stuff like that?
Yeah,
because you're in the hills?
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, cool. So is there many bushfires up your way usually?
Touch wood. Right. There hasn't been any since I've been here. We've been here like about 5 or 6 years, I think, but it certainly can happen. And it's just the trade-off you make for, living in an area that's, very like lots of trees and nature around. It's lovely, but you do kind of run that risk when it's a super hot summer. So, but yeah, no, we're happy up here, very happy.
That's cool. So you're an Adelaide boy. So have you always lived, besides stuff that you've done sort of with music where it's sort of taken you away, have you lived anywhere besides Adelaide?
Not on a permanent basis, no. Born in Adelaide and did all my education here, and then I went on tour, I guess, when I was 19, and then was away for the better part of 14 years. So kind of lived, I guess, in a bunch of different cities around the world, but never moved anywhere to kind of set up life. So
right.
It's always been home.
Right. So that 14 years, that was with Cirque du Soleil. So is that? Well, I'm really curious on all that sort of stuff. So is that based out of? I mean, is it sort of? I realise the shows are, there's the different shows and they're taken to different parts of the world. But is there one sort of hub? Is it like a home, a Cirque du Soleil home?
Yeah. I mean, the company is based in Montreal, and that's where their headquarters are. That's where their training facilities are. That's where everyone or most people get flown to start their contracts and kind of meet with various directors and designers, and you kind of have a 2-week training period there, I suppose. They kind of there's offices all over the world, like you say. They've got shows, pretty much everywhere in the world, but they've also got an office in the States and smaller office in Australia and an office in Europe. So, but the company is based, Montreal.
Right. So where were you majority? What's the word I'm looking for?
The majority of the time.
It's been a long day, man. I towards the end of my day. I was up really early this morning. So where were you based most of the time then?
Most of the time, I guess most of the time was in the US. If we kind of average it out over those years, but we spent a lot of time in Japan and a decent amount of time in Europe as well. So kind of being a part of the. I was fortunate enough to do 4 different shows, but that kind of meant I did a tour in Japan with one show, and then moved shows and went back to Japan with a different one.
Right.
And then same with the States and Europe. So did a few cities a couple of times. But yeah, it was kind of divided up all over the world, really.
I've been to Adelaide once. So I've been in Australia since 1994.
Okay.
And I went to Adelaide once, and it was New Year's Eve 1998, and I had a gig in Whyalla.
Great.
So we flew to Adelaide Airport, didn't leave the airport, sat out on the grass, then we went across to this little airline, and we flew this little plane from almost like Buddy Holly, man, like this tiny little airplane, and the rivets were rattling out of the wings, and flew to Whyalla. And then back to Adelaide to get on another plane. That's the only time I've been to Adelaide, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, Whyalla is it's kind of on the gig circuit still for some bands and some projects. I think it used to be certainly back then, like late 90s and even earlier. My dad did a bunch of gigs in Whyalla in his time, and but yeah, it's a short little flight in, from Adelaide to those kind of cities.
It's scary, man, because people would, I was relatively still quite new to Australia and sharks and things that bite and all that sort of shit, because you don't get that stuff in New Zealand, right? So someone told me, so to get to Whyalla, you got to fly across the Bight, and the Bight's full of great white sharks, and they said if you look out the window, you'll see sharks as you're flying over there. So gullible me. Back then, thought it was just, I think it was just the breaks and the waves. But
oh my
gosh, mate was going, look, there's a shark down there.
They got you.
I fucking shit myself.
They got you. That's funny.
They did too easy, man. Too easy.
Man, it's funny. Like the amount of people that I met when I was overseas. We say that we're from Australia, who would literally be like, how can you live there? Like, there's just snakes and spiders everywhere, right? Like, you can't like walk down, in the street. Like, no, not at all.
Yeah, like koalas and kangaroos are like cats and dogs, right?
Yeah. It's incredible that image has kind of become world famous. Through like somehow, I don't know, but you kind of have to convince them, like, no, it's like a real life city where people, are normal and stuff. You can just walk around. Nothing's going to bite you.
Yeah. So what's so we're at the beginning of May 2025 now. So what's the last? Give me the last month. What have you been up to?
Last month, gosh, it's been a real variety of things, actually. Been doing a bit with this band I've kind of recently joined, called Dojorise, kind of like a funky reggae hip hop feel good band. So yeah, quite a few shows with them, and been doing quite a bit of recording at home, actually, for various projects and artists, which has been awesome. I love, working from home and having the facility that I do and utilizing it. So yeah, it's been really good. And then this last kind of couple of weeks, I've been getting ready to start the run on Beauty and the Beast, like a musical that's here. So I went to Melbourne for a couple of days to observe the show, meet the drummer there, and watch the show and kind of get my head into it. And we just started rehearsing for that yesterday. So been just shedding that at home. But yeah, it's been great to do, as much recording as I have been here. As like being any kind of musician, you spend a lot of time by yourself in your practice room, and my studio is my practice room / recording studio. But it's always good to have other people come into the space and make it feel more alive and a bit more character and all of that. So yeah, it's been a real mix, and just a lot of prep for kind of future gigs as well, things coming up. Kind of March, April is a bit of a crazy time in Adelaide with like festivals and things like that. So yeah,
very cool. So when you went and watched the Beauty and the Beast show to observe it, was that from? Are you in the drum booth there, or are you out in the seats watching the whole sort of show?
Yeah, so I was there for a couple of days, and I got to see 4 different shows. So I watched 2 from the front, like as an audience member, and then 2 from the pit
That's cool.
in the drum booth. So I kind of got the whole perspective of how it's all coming across, and how, and obviously what the show looks like as well. Because doing these theater shows, 95% of the time you have no idea what's going on stage unless you get,
Yep.
you get to actually go and watch it. So yeah, it's just great for that. I mean, yeah, to Adelaide just kind of does shorter runs of theater shows.
Okay.
Like I think this is going for about 2 months, whereas the show just finished up in Melbourne and they were there for 9 months or
Right.
10 months, and then Sydney was longer than that. So yeah, but regardless, if you're playing the same thing every day with not really any concept of what's actually going on stage, it can be a little weird. So
Understand.
yeah, just the chance to see it was really good, and to meet the drummer. Shout out to James Davies, who's incredible drummer in Melbourne. He's doing a lot of shows and great stuff over there. Yeah, just to because the book is like a half drums, half percussion book.
Right.
There's a lot of like switching between glockenspiel and cymbal rolls and drum kit, and just there's a lot of like little stick and mallet choreography that's just good to see someone else do and be like, okay, so that's how you should do it, and not spend weeks trying to figure out the best way to make something work. Yeah.
Right. So on that, then I remember seeing a video of yours. It was probably the day after it happened. This is a while ago, and then I went back through your Instagram and saw it again yesterday. You were playing the show. I don't know if it was just because of the way that the camera was set up, but it seemed like I can't remember what was it. It was a timpani or something way up the other end of the room, and then you like played something, and then you turned and you like ran back, literally ran to the other side of the room, to knock something else. So is it going to be that kind of setup at where you are, or you've got everything sort of a lot more compact?
Yeah, not quite that extreme.
Yeah.
It's a bit more compact. And that particular video I think you're talking about was a bit of a strange circumstance in where I was doing this show called Miss Saigon, which is written for 2 percussionists. So the video of that setup was actually like,
okay,
yeah,
you're covering both bases, right? Okay.
And drums. Yeah, exactly. So the percussionist was sick on that day, so I had to kind of try and cover both of the parts as best I could.
Wow.
And there was one particular moment that was just like humorous to try and do, but I tried, and I did something.
Nobody knew. I betcha.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was a fun little challenge.
Right.
But,
so do you get double pay for that? Yeah.
No.
Doesn't work like that, eh? No.
Double the exposure bucks.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There you go. Awesome.
It's good fun.
Cool, man. All right. Let's roll it right back to the beginning. So I know you're from a musical family, and your father's a drummer and your uncle was a drummer. By the way, I watched your interview with your dad the other day.
Oh, cool!
It was awesome, man.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
thank
really
you.
Cool. Oh, sorry. My first question there is, how tall are you?
I'm like 190. 190 centimeters, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, right. So you're as tall as you look on social media, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So all right. So yeah, musical family, father, your uncle. Tell me how it all sort of kicked off for you. Was it just? I mean, the obvious thing would be, okay, there's drummers around the place, I'm going to pick up some drumsticks and play. So was it as simple as that, or
I mean, I guess it's one of those things like, I don't really remember even not playing drums or not being aware of them. Yeah, my dad's dad, who's passed away now, my grandfather was a drummer as well. And I guess he's the one that started the whole family tradition of it. So yeah, my dad, I'm sure, saw his dad playing, and but yeah, for me it was just I just remember, some of my earliest memories are just of going to gigs with my dad, or going to rehearsals that he was doing, or shows, or watching him write out drum charts on the kitchen table with a, cassette deck.
Yeah.
Like, rewind and writing out charts and all that kind of thing. Or seeing practicing, or just people coming over to the house and rehearsing. And I just loved it. I don't know, fell in love with everything about, being a musician and playing music with other people and working on shows and practice and preparing for gigs. I just love that whole, like, everything. So I don't know. I would just crawl up on Dad's drums and bash away and try and play along with recordings, and even try and play along with material that I heard him learning, preparing for himself. So that whole concept of like what it means to be a professional musician, I suppose I was exposed to that from a pretty young age. I think like some people who get into music at a young age, like, aren't necessarily introduced to what the business, quote unquote, side of it is, or all the things that come with being like in the professional scene, like how to prepare for a gig and how to write out charts and how to manage a schedule and a calendar and all that stuff that kind of comes later. I saw Dad doing that really early on. So that was just obviously invaluable formative kind of training, I guess, to get into the industry. Just followed the path to keep playing and practicing. And my dad was great in terms of getting me a teacher that wasn't him at a very young age. He kind of said, like, if you really want to do this, I'm going to put you with, someone who's not me, to make that divide a little bit between being my dad and being a drummer. So that didn't stop me like bugging him all the time, asking questions and asking him to show me stuff. And but that's kind of how it all started, I suppose. And then from there, my grandma ran like a talent competition, I suppose you call it, at my primary school. So that was kind of my first memories of like performing for people, I guess, in that kind of on a stage or anything like that.
So was that what, with a group or like as a drum soloist?
Just solo, yeah. So like playing along with tracks, pretty much, like pre-recorded songs and that kind of thing. But prior to that, like I was playing with other family members, just at home, as kids and doing fun things. But yeah, I think it was all very like family based stuff until I started doing that talent competition, and then obviously went to a music high school, and that's where a lot of the like formal training, I suppose, kind of started in terms of really diving into music theory and composition and recording and arranging and playing in an different ensembles and big bands and orchestras and small groups and all that. So yeah, and just all the while still going to as many of Dad's sound checks and rehearsals and things as I could without being underage.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha. So who was the first drummer outside of your sort of family situation that caught your eye?
Oh, I would say, probably someone like Buddy Rich, I guess, because my grandfather was a huge Buddy Rich and Gene Krupa fan, and and my dad was obviously as well. So yeah, I think like watching old VHS tapes of him and listening to recordings, he's probably the first guy that like made me really excited about what the drums can be, I suppose. And then obviously guys like Weckl and Gad and Vinny, kind of came pretty soon after, once I started trying to find my own interests and drummers that really, I like the way they sounded. So, yeah, and still to this day, obviously, for everyone, they're just, the guys. So yeah, but they're probably the first earliest influences I can think of.
Right. So your schooling then, with sort of music in mind, did you go to like a conservatorium type sort of thing for school, or did your local school have a fairly decent music program?
My primary school didn't have much. I had like instrumental lessons, but then I went to like what they call a special interest music high school.
Okay.
So yeah, I had to audition to get into that. And that kind of meant like a lot of the lessons were on music, which is incredible. And yes, like without a doubt, one of the best things that I could have done, I think, to develop. But yeah, that's where I was doing. Yeah, like I said, kind of composition and learning how to play in different ensembles, and I was learning trumpet and piano at the time as well. But then, yeah, I did the high school education, and then I didn't go to uni or anything like that. I did a couple of years of they call a single studies program. So I went to the university and had a once a week lesson with the percussion tutor there, and played in the percussion ensemble. But that was more, like classical percussion, I guess. But yeah, I didn't do the jazz course or anything like that. Yeah.
Right. So who was give us a shout out to your first drum teacher then?
I had a lot of different drum set teachers, but the guy that really kind of got me on a good path is a guy called John McDermott, who is still playing around town a lot and teaches at the uni here. And I have to thank him for a lot of stuff, not only like education wise, but gig opportunity wise. He like handballed me a lot of stuff when I was young, that kind of got me connected with a lot of different people, and put me in some situations that were great for my career development, I suppose. So yeah, I have a lot to thank him for. But yeah, there's a bunch of different guys I was lucky to have got lessons and little, even just catch ups, and conversations with drummers that Dad knew who would come through town for different shows. And I think like just the how generous those kind of guys were with allowing like a young kid to hassle them and ask them nerdy drum questions, like Mark Charters and Joe Pantasis and Gordo. Dad kind of knew them and would make opportunities for us to meet up and hang out, and that was really, really great.
Yeah, that's invaluable stuff.
To get to know them. At a young age.
Yep. So was it always going to be music then?
Oh yeah, for sure.
No question.
No question. No, I didn't think about anything else really. And the only time that I haven't like had music as a job was obviously like pandemic, where I got a gig like working in a retail store, but even that was like a music store, like a drum store and a music instrument store.
No, it's still the same, man.
Didn't quite get it out of it completely, but yeah, in terms of a job, it's always been music. But yeah, I think I'm pretty lucky, as I think a lot of musicians are lucky to not necessarily see it as a job. Sometimes you obviously need to make money by what you're doing, and there's a point where you have to be very clear about making certain decisions. But it's very, very, very rare that it feels like work. It feels like, I have to go do this thing I don't really want to do just to make money. But yeah, it's always been my main thing, and was never going to be anything else really, I don't think.
Yeah, that's cool. So I'm sort of inching my way towards the Cirque du Soleil gig here. So from coming out of high school, not going to college, but then having your sort of drum teacher steer you off into different sort of gigs and stuff. What sort of gigs were you doing that was sort of holding you down enough to be able to sort of pay the bills, but then also give you exposure? And then I guess what I'm getting to here is, how did like a gig like the Cirque du Soleil thing come along? Because I mean, obviously there would have had to be some show, like sort of orchestra pit type sort of stuff before you were doing that.
Yeah. It's a bit of a like interesting path, I suppose, because I mean, I guess like I saw my first Cirque du Soleil show when I was maybe 11 or 10 or 11 or 12 or something like that, and it was definitely a moment of like, I want to do that, whatever that is. I don't know what this company is. I don't know where they're from or anything, but I just, it was a thing of like, I'd love everything about this. So it kind of set me on a path at that age to find out what it was and how to do it, and like all of these questions I was trying to figure out. And it was obviously like pre kind of internet, like the accessibility anyway was certainly not what it is today. So I was just, buying programs and trying to find books. And then, when the internet did become more of a thing, I was trying to find out who the musicians were who were coming through with the different Cirque shows, and get in touch with them and just meet them and have coffee and ask them questions about how they got into it. And one drummer in particular who was really very generous with his time and hanging out with this guy called Paul Bannerman, who came through with a show called Varikai. And he really answered a lot of questions for me that I had in terms of how to get involved. And it was basically like, just have to send a tape, like send them a video, a DVD, of yourself playing, and physically post it to them in the mail, like not, send it online. So I did that, and he kind of helped me find the right people to send it to. And then, once I had a connection with the company, I just started like sending them videos every 6 months or something like that.
So almost like spamming them so they can't, not spam, sorry, that's quite a strong word to say.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Just
like
you're almost trying to annoy them to a point where, oh man, we just got to get this kid in here.
Well, I think the persistence certainly helped for sure. But I think I must have been like 15 or 16 when I first sent a tape, and then just kept like reminding them like, hey, I'm still really interested. This is what I'm doing now, footage from live gigs or whatever. And then, I think I got put forward. The first show I actually got put forward for was when I was about 18. And kind of how the process works is they choose, 6 to 10 drummers from their database of people for a specific opening.
Right.
And they present them to the musical director and the director of the show and a few other people, and it's basically like a shortlist kind of situation. And then they narrow it down to, the top 3, and then they might ask you to audition, send in more material specific to the show.
So still no face-to-face yet? This is still
no,
this is just
nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And are you getting any feedback at all besides the part where they say, send us in another video?
Not really. No, it was more just like, thanks for your, material. The directors have decided to go with this person, or
right.
It wasn't like a work on this kind of thing. It was just more like yes or no. So, but I was put forward for about 4 or 5 different shows where I went through that whole process of sending stuff to them, and they'd send me things to record, send it back, blah, blah, blah. But then, I got my first gig when I was 19 and went on tour pretty much from then on until, only a couple of years ago. Like I had, some breaks in between, and I came home for a couple of years kind of in the middle of that to just have a break and do some different stuff. But for the majority of that time, I was overseas with the company. So
interesting. All right. So let's dig a little bit deeper into the shows and that kind of stuff now. So I mean, obviously towards the end of it, you were band leading. I had a whole bunch of questions, and then I found that video of yours the other day where you're explaining the whole band leader thing.
Oh yeah,
It was
cool.
fascinating, how you're explaining how the Ableton works, and you got your pedals and your heel from your left, and that almost answered all my questions there. I was going to ring up Ben. I said, I don't need to talk to you now, man. I've your video's done.
It's fine.
No, I'm
just post that.
I'm joking.
Right. Love it.
But yeah, I mean that was fascinating. So yeah, obviously that was that in the last year of?
Yeah, I started band leading. Must have been 2017, I think.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, 2017. So yeah, I was lucky enough to get asked to work on the creation of a show. So that means you're brought in from day one of piecing the music together, and you're working with a composer, who in that case was this guy called Anthony Gonzalez, whose main project, I guess, is this M83, like a electro dance pop kind of project. But yeah, he was incredible to work with. But yeah, that was because I was kind of there from the beginning. I wasn't the band leader at the time, but I was the assistant band leader or backup band leader, I guess. So we were able to design the drum setup and the rig to accommodate me doing all of the triggering and cueing and all that kind of stuff from the beginning of the show. And then, I did that for up until the pandemic. And then we got asked to go back after things opened up again. And there was backup band leader on the last show I worked on as well. So yeah, it was a great challenge. And certainly very unique for a drummer, I guess, to band lead and call a show in that way. But I loved it. I really, really did. Yeah.
What fascinates me with that is and you explained it a bit too in the video that you made about having the different sections of inside Ableton that you can extend a section where you need to, because the acrobat has either dropped a move or added a move or missed a cue or something like that. Because there was some questions I was going to ask you. You must be staring at a screen, man, or you got your ears and listening for some sort of cue saying we got to extend that part. I mean, I've been and watched a lot of sort of pit shows, and it doesn't seem to be anything like that. It's just the cats are playing through the book, bar or two in a solo or something like that. But that must keep you on your toes all the time.
Yeah, it does. It really does, and I think that's what is so why people stick around in those gigs for so long. Is because it's unlike a theater show. You have the stability of playing a show every day, but it does change night to night. And, it definitely keeps you on your toes for sure. And especially being a band leader, you need to be watching all the time, and, things that maybe will be the same for, 99 shows, and then one show, someone will be late to come on stage, or something will get jammed technically and you have to vamp, or the stage manager will get in your ears and say, oh, someone's just injured themselves backstage, we have to cut the next act, go straight to the thing afterwards. You just got to be, you can never be on autopilot. So it's great. And then figuring out musically how you're going to make that stuff work on the fly is great. And but it's a very unique performance platform, and it's certainly not for everyone. I've had people come in to the show who have gotten through the audition process, and then they finally get on the gig, and then they realize what it is, and it's not for them. Or some drummers or musicians have reached out to me and say, oh, I'd love to do the the Cirque thing, man, how do I get into it? And I just think like, I really don't think it's
not your
bag,
thing. Yeah.
It's not to, disrespect
No,
anyone
I
or
know what you're
discredit
saying.
anyone.
Yeah.
It's just, it's more like it's pretty unique kind of thing. But for me, yeah, it encompassed a lot of things that I love and about that whole show concept of, the music being part of something bigger than like just a band playing or, just playing music. Like you're really accompanying something in a very like connected way. It's not just playing the same thing and stuff is happening. It's like you kind of feeding off each other constantly. And the classic drummer in a circus thing, like you're literally catching, accents with cymbals and tom fills and all that stuff. Like, so yeah, you really feel like you're actually like, contributing a lot to the whole audience experience. So yeah, it was incredible time. And who's to say, might do it again one day, but for now, we're based back home and kind of loving the variety of gigs again.
That's cool. So going back to the whole as the musical director and you're playing and you just mentioned there you're setting up for hits and you're watching this and that, and there's a real so take me through this. So it's a really complex part of the show's coming up. You've got this massive fill which is going to go from one tom to the other and all these sort of accents, and then you get the call in your ear that such and such has broken their toe, that skip that act. So how do you prepare yourself mentally for that? I mean, that must be. Oh yeah, you on edge? Are you on edge when you're always on the?
Yeah.
And did you? And then it's sort of a 2-part question. There is, did you have to change the way that you played and approached playing your drum parts?
Yeah. Well, I guess to answer the first part, how do you prepare? It's just about really trying to think about every kind of situation that might happen during a show without driving yourself too crazy. But yeah, it's something you do all the time. Would just be, kind of going through the show like mentally, outside of work, and be like, okay, what would happen if, we're in this part of the show and then something happens here and we have to jump or whatever. So you're kind of always running through that stuff in your mind, and then I'd come into work, and if it was a thing where like Ableton programming wise, it wasn't possible, we'd make it so it was possible. So, we'd make some edits to the tracks and make some shortcuts on the keyboard so that if for whatever reason one day we had to skip certain parts of the song or certain parts of the show, we could, actually do it. So yeah, there's that. There's just the being prepared thing and trying to play through those mental scenarios. And then like playing wise, there's certain things that I would maybe not play or not write into a part in case you had to change it, or it was at a point where things could kind of go here or there. But the way that we had it set up on the show was that I think I talked about it in that YouTube video, but yeah, all of my like drum parts were recorded into the software.
Right.
So if anything really like hit the wall and I had to like get the mic and talk to the band and explain like what we're going to do,
right,
I hit this button and my drum tracks would come through. And
so you literally stop playing, right? Would you completely stop playing and then just straight into musical director mode
in talking? Yeah,
right, okay.
And that's like you can't try and avoid that because
of course,
like you wouldn't be able to tell from the audience, like it'd just sound like the drums keep going.
Yep.
But you want to keep it as live as possible. But yeah, if ever there was a time where it was like really kind of hairy, then just put the drum backups on and then say, okay, everyone, this is what we're going to do. We're going to jump straight from here to here. You'll hear a count, and then we're going to go straight into that section. Here we go, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you go. So yeah, that's kind of the thrill of it as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Like,
man.
just trying to come up with that
I'm
stuff.
excited
Like,
just hearing you talking about it. Like
yeah,
it's awesome.
it's cool.
Yeah,
It was really good. And like, obviously the point of it is that no one knows, what's going on. Like the audience just sounds great. It's just that classic kind of image of like the duck, on water looks calm, but underneath like all this stuff, like what's going on?
That's it.
And but it was really great on the show as well because my wife was a stage manager,
right?
So she would be calling everything. She'd be talking to lighting, talking to automation, talking to backstage, talking to me. So when these things would happen, we'd be, talking to each other during the show to try and figure out what's going on.
Right.
And even, outside of the show would, do that thing of saying to each other, like, what would happen if,
yep,
this person got sick or this person got injured, how would we make that work? So yeah, it was a really cool kind of thing to do together and, fun work projects. But yeah, and I mean, you can drive yourself crazy with that stuff. Like,
yeah, I'm sure.
Thinking of all the scenarios, you just have to, we'd have like an emergency vamp button. So if anything really went wrong and we had no idea how to get out of it, we just hit this emergency vamp button.
Like
and
you,
it'd be like
you and your wife with a key each, just having to turn
it'd just be like ominous drone and like drum loop with reverb and and that that'll be all right for a couple of minutes.
And we're out. Yeah, that's it.
Figure it out. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've finished that up in 2023. So yeah, was it a case of time to sort of get home and do some other stuff? Or were you starting to get during that time? Are you getting offered stuff? Or do people know that you're sort of locked away?
Yeah, most people knew that I was away. Some people would still ask for things because they knew like that I'd be coming home on breaks every now and then. So, and some people I would tell them like I'm going to be back in Adelaide from this date to this date if you've got any gigs or work. Sometimes it worked out, so that was really good, and it was a good way to kind of keep connected with people back home, because I think a lot of people that do those kind of gigs just like leave their town and like peace out, I'm going on tour, and then just kind of cut connections.
Right.
But I don't know, maybe it was like the upbringing from Dad of him just in general trying to say like always try and keep your connections relevant and close. So when I was on tour, I really tried to just stay in touch with people, even on like a social level, just emailing and messaging every now and then, so didn't get forgotten about completely. But yeah, I would still get things every now and then, and I kind of offered to people that I would still record drums for them. So right. I would do a thing where, I would build up maybe 10 tracks from different artists and people. And once I had about 10 tracks, I would book a recording studio in whatever city we were in and record those songs for them. And then cool. Send them off and to kind of start that process again. So that was a really cool thing to do away as well. But yeah, I think there was a kind of a multitude of reasons why we finally decided to leave. I mean, it's an incredible gig in a sense that you can stay there forever if you want. Right. You can, the contracts just keep rolling on like year after year, unless you do something really dumb or aren't good at your job, then you might get let go. But yeah, to actually decide like, no, we want to step away from this, it was a big call. But yeah, it was a lot of things, just variety of gigs, wanting to feel closer to family and like settled at home. We have like a couple of little kids now, so like giving them steady foundation was really important.
Your kids were born while you're away?
Actually one of them was born during the pandemic. So our little girl, she was born in 2020, and then we got asked to go back on tour when things opened up, and we took her with us for those couple of years. We went back for, which was amazing. And like, she was the perfect age to do that. She was only just over 1. So
right.
very portable and just like, let's go, it was great. But then, by the time we left, she was 3.5 and was starting to kind of outgrow the apartments that we were being put in. And, she didn't have a lot of space, to have a play area, and she wasn't around other kids her age and away from her grandparents and the family. It just got a bit like, this is maybe not the best time.
Yep.
So we came home and ended up having another little baby. So we've got a little boy now who's just turned 1, and a little girl's 4.5. So it's great.
Good times.
Super happy. Yeah, good super times. Happy.
I've got 2 teenagers now. Bloody hell.
Oh, great.
15 and 13. Awesome.
Yeah, amazing. Well, the balance of like freelance work and family, like it's a challenge, but we're just trying to make it work and keep everyone happy, and it's really good though.
That's cool. So what's your I guess is your wife stay home mum?
She works for WOMAD Music Festival.
Oh right, okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So she can like do organizing stuff?
Yeah, so she's a production coordinator.
Oh great.
For them. So she was doing that like when we came home for a couple of years. She did that job then, and then kind of came back into it a couple of years ago. So she loves that job, and it's great. Great gig. So she kind of does that for 6 months of the year, and then the other half the year's part-time with them. And then we're just about to jump into school, life with our little girl.
Good luck with that.
Change things. Yeah,
good luck with that.
We'll need it for sure.
Oh no, it's cool, man. It's cool.
Yeah.
So okay, so when you get home, when you finish up with Cirque and you get home, have you come home to something? Have you come home to a gig or a tour or a project, or did you sort of come home, settle a little bit, and then get yourself out there?
I made a pretty conscious effort to like start reaching out to people back home, like as soon as we knew we were going to come home. Like I think it was close to 6 months of like actually deciding and telling the Cirque that like we want to finish up.
Yep.
It was 6 months until we actually got home. So
sorry, just before. So how much? Like for my job, for example, if I was to leave my job, I've got to give them a month's notice, right? So how much notice do you need to give that organisation?
Well, I mean, everyone's contracted for like roughly 12 months. So you're in a 12-month contract, and it's kind of broken up into like countries or continents or tours, right. Say. So like we were about halfway through a tour of Japan that was going for 10 months, I think. And we decided like, okay, I think at the end of Japan, we want to finish up. And that was kind of when the contracts were going to change. So that's what we told them. You can't say, I mean, you can, but like contractually, you can't say, I want to leave in, a month or 2 weeks or something like that.
I understand that. But do you give them, like, say the contract's about to end, do they sort of come around and, a month, 2 months before the contract ends saying, hey, Ben, are you going to be moving on to the next tour? Do we need to start looking for someone else? Or
it's kind of, the renewals are, I think, about 3 or 4 months before contract ends, which gives them enough time to cast other people. And, it's a whole process of like, okay, casting someone, auditioning, right, they're in, do the contract negotiation, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Now then we need to get a visa for them. So you got to start the visa process, blah, blah, blah. But it was, we kind of decided before they even offered the renewal. We knew like, no, this is it. So, then pretty much from then on, I just started trying to reconnect with people back home, and get the ball rolling with certain things. And luckily, I had some good connections who were like really generous with getting me some work. Pretty much as soon as I got back. And also that's when I kind of started that drummer's perspective profile as well.
Yep.
Just to have something to put online, to kind of remind people who I was, I guess, and
like almost like a CV type sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, let's
exactly.
talk. I've got that on my list to talk about. So let's talk a little bit about that, the drummer's perspective. So it's like a personal vlog / or it's a podcast, but but you're offering your advice and tips on how to better yourself as a musician and a drummer, and then also you're doing the whole sort of interview side of it too. So and I'll leave a link for that in the show notes of that. So please go and check that out. Some great videos on there and some great interviews.
Cool. Thank you.
You guys will recognize a whole bunch of the people that Ben's talked to. So please go check that out.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. So okay. So that answers that question, where the drummer's perspective sort of podcast came from.
Yeah, I think it was an idea I had for a long time, but then when the idea of making this huge life change kind of came up, I was like, right, this is a good time to get it going, because it will not only like not that I was like bored for the last period of that time, but I was certainly looking for things to do outside of the show, looking for other creative outlets. And that kind of was twofold in that sense of like having this idea and then having a reason to do it, and then having some kind of headspace to start thinking about why it would be important to do it. But the concept of the whole YouTube channel was twofold, I guess. Like, doing interviews with drummers who have other kind of aspects of their career that isn't just playing drums. Like that's something that I kind of am pretty passionate about. Like obviously playing drums to the best of your ability is extremely important, and that's some people do that forever, and it's amazing. But I think just in today's industry, it's more important than ever to kind of diversify a little bit. For me, my kind of diversification was drums and the percussion side of things, and the recording, and then the band leading, and there's a few different aspects of my career that I think some younger drummers kind of forget about sometimes, like it being an important thing. And that's not a slight on them at all. It's because there's so much to learn and just how to play drums to a good degree to be able to do gigs and things. But I just wanted to start something where I could share literally a drummer's perspective on recording, or a drummer's perspective on writing music, or writing out charts, or just different things told from my point of view. That's kind of where it happened. And then the response to that, it was really, really great, and it gave me a chance to reconnect with obviously drummers who I would interview and talk to, and got my profile, I guess, a little bit more visual online. That's where the idea for it came from, and it was really beneficial, I think, and I'd still love doing it. Obviously, with the young family now, it's much more challenging to find time to make videos. I still can do the interview side of things. That's okay to squeeze it in and kind of edit up. But when I was on tour, I was like scripting out videos and shooting them in the drum booth and figuring out how to do it. I don't really have the time for that right now. I'm definitely going to get into it again, but
I know exactly what you mean, man.
See,
for me, from my side of it, like the podcast, the Gig Life podcast, it was always going to be an audio podcast, because I just frankly didn't have the time to do videos, because my kids were I mean, so how old would they have been? I would have had a 10-year-old and a 8-year-old when this happened. So it's full on, man.
Right.
It's like there's a lot of stuff going on, school and everything that's outside of school and sports, and I'm working a full-time job and still doing a few gigs and that kind of stuff. But for me to be able to have the time to try and edit a video, and then the other side of that is, I mean, I've got a face for audio, man. I'm not putting my head in the video. Like,
oh my God.
You know what I mean?
What are you talking about? No way.
Yeah. So, I know what you're saying. It's challenging finding that time for video. And people ask me that. They say, well, why don't you do video podcasts? And, there's been times when, I've recorded, because you and I are doing this, sort of online, but the program I'm using, there's a function to record it. And I have in the past released, the videos, but I don't know. I just get too sort of caught up in the how it looks and sounds, and another side of it too is if I had a camera on me while I'm trying to talk to someone, I think to me it would sort of change sort of the personality of the conversation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So just that we were talking earlier about that the video that you made of the band leading. So obviously you'd at that stage, knowing what I know now, you'd obviously made the decision to finish up. So you'd obviously, you were finishing up, and then you had that in mind that you were going to do this drummer's perspective. And is that why you recorded that video of the band leading thing?
Yeah, it was kind of a bit of a combination of wanting to. I mean, I kind of knew it was a unique thing, and I knew that people would find it interesting because, I mean, when I would explain to people that I was band leading from the drummer's chair, they would not really understand how, and I have to explain it all. So I thought, well, I'm just going to make a video about it, and then it'll be clear. And then it also, like, it's a really cool, like, documentation of what I was doing with that show, like to look back on now that I'm out of the, scene with that. And to kind of have it as a, like, a bit of a time capsule of like what was going on at that period. It was really cool to do. So but there's still like a bunch of videos that I want to make, I have this huge list of things I want to get through. And I did do quite a few when I came home, like in the studio here, and there's still a lot more to do, but awesome. I guess the catalyst for it all to kick off was like just things aligning of like leaving tour and having a little bit more headspace to think about it before I got back home, and so it was the right time for it. But now I love doing the interviews. It's so good, great. It's one of those things, I don't know, the more, like anything, the more you do it, the more you like enjoy doing it, and the more kind of what works and who's listening and maybe who to ask to be involved, and
100%. So, and you just gotta you gotta hustle, man. You gotta hustle to get the people that you want to talk to. That's
for sure.
That's what I found.
Definitely. I mean, that interview I just put out with Gordo, like I think I said in the video, he was like on the top of the list of like guys that I wanted to chat to.
when you said that, I got the exact same thing, man. Because when I decided to do the podcast, I got out my notes app on Apple and on my iPhone, and then he was probably the first cat I put down there, and I'd met Gordo a couple of times before that. Had a couple of lessons with him because he doesn't live too far from me. So but it's just going through the list, and the more you do, man, the more those people tell that person, and then it's like, oh, cool, let's get on this. It's good fun. So what do you find's the biggest challenge when interviewing someone?
Biggest challenge, I think just to try and like, I mean, up until pretty recently, everyone I interviewed, I kind of knew already. And then there are a few people I chatted with that I just loved what they were doing online, or the way they, where they sounded, or just a big fan of theirs for a while. So, I mean, I guess it's not so much of a challenge. It's just like, you're meeting someone, well, like you and me, like we haven't met before, but you have this thing of like, oh, I hope it goes well. I don't really know them, and trying to keep like questions and things light enough and malleable enough to be able to shift if it's going in a certain direction, or kind of have things prepared but able to change course if necessary. As that's been interesting to like learn and be part of. So but I mean, everyone, it's one of those things, man. Like you kind of look up to these people and idolize them through social media or videos or whatever, and then like literally everyone I've talked to has been so nice and genuine and just real people. And it's I just like finish all those interviews like feeling really good, just about that's making connections with people.
That's
and like
great,
these guys are awesome. They're out there doing stuff. So I love it.
That's it, man. All right, so you've landed the gig with Superjesus. Cool, man. So tell me about that. So Sarah McLeod, she's an Adelaide girl, isn't she?
Originally, she lives in Brisbane now, but originally Adelaide,
Right. So how'd the gig come about, man? Did you have to audition for it, or was it someone knew who you were?
A really good friend of mine, guitarist, who I play a lot with, Cam Blockland. He has been playing with them for couple of years now, I think, and he met Sarah, I think, primarily from doing a show in the Adelaide Fringe called 27 Club, which is based around all of the famous musicians that died when they were 27. They play all their music. So Jimi Hendrix, Amy Winehouse, Janis Joplin, rock and roll kind of show. So Cam was a guitarist in that, and Sarah was one of the front lead singers. So I think that's kind of how they met. And then they were looking for a guitarist. So Sarah said, I want Cam. So Cam got the gig a couple of years ago, and then I think it was about 7 months ago, they were looking for a drummer. And Cam suggested me. So I'd met Sarah once or twice at the Fringe, just to say hello, but never like played music with her. But Cam like thought I'd do a great job and put my name forward, and showed them some videos. And it was one of those things. It wasn't an audition, but like it was like do you want to play in the band? Yeah, cool. All right. Well, let's have a rehearsal and see how it goes. So it's like, I had a gig booked in with them to play, but if it didn't go well, if the rehearsal didn't go well, then maybe things would have gone differently. But
right.
I was super excited, obviously, and like prepped as much as I could, and the rehearsal went great, and then we did some shows, and then we ended up being on the support for this run of shows with Cold Chisel, which was huge and incredible. So it's been so great, so fun. They're just about to put out, well, the album has come out actually. We're just about to do a tour next month all through Australia. I'll be out every weekend in June pretty much with that. And doing some kind of recording some videos for them now in the studio, like it's like social media promo stuff. So it's weird, like I've been a musician for a really long time, but have never been like in a band.
I understand.
It's like the first like band thing I've done.
Right.
And it's really cool. It's great. Like everything so far has primarily been like part of a band that's been put together for something, or part of a show, or
I understand.
Like a sideman thing. But to be part of something and to like put your name on something and shape it to some degree, it's amazing. So that's having a great time with that. And then just the tour is like the main thing for that band at the moment that they're trying to focus on, and there's got some good things coming. So it's really cool.
Good stuff. So you didn't play on you're not on this new album? You didn't play on the new album?
No, the drummer, they had a guy who was playing with them
Murray
previously.
Yep.
Yeah, Murray, who did the album, and I think they recorded it at his studio actually. And then he finished up with them, and that's kind of when they were looking for someone. So yeah, it's great to learn his part. He plays great. I love his drumming on the album, so it's been awesome to dive into it and kind of try and put my own thing on it a little bit if I can.
I know what you mean. But how cool is Gravity to play?
It's great, man. It's great song.
I remember when Jet Age came out, and that I remember hearing that song for the first time with just the riff, the guitar, you know, and that's a kick-ass song. That it's one of my favorite parts of the show is playing that, and then we do this like whole breakdown thing, and then it goes into like this, you know, epic shreddy guitar solo that Cam plays. I put a little clip up on my Instagram of when we did the Velo car race here. It was, I don't know how many people there, 15,000 or 20,000 people. It was one of the biggest crowds I'd ever played to. But yeah, like Cam busts into the solo, and Sarah jumps up on the kick drum, and like, man, it was so fun. So cool.
So fun. Yeah. I actually got not that people will see it, but that picture there is from that gig.
Oh wow, that's awesome. So with that many people, could you see? Was that the gig where you had the video where you flicked your glasses off into the?
Oh no, that was a different one. Different gig. Yeah, but yeah, no, it's strange. Yeah, the people just kind of kept going. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. But yeah, no, having a great time with that band. They're all so lovely, and you know, like not too many bands that have been doing it for the amount of time they've been doing it, that are still pushing, you know, still putting out material and still wanting to tour and wanting to do new stuff. Like they just did a dance remix of one of the songs on the album, which is like in the top 5 ARIA charts now, or something crazy. Eh? Like, it's amazing. So, it's great. Having a good time.
Awesome, man. So you've got a bit of a thing coming up, the Edinburgh Fringe.
Yes. Yeah. So that's
tell us about that.
Yeah. A strange kind of closing of a circle where Cam met Sarah doing this 27 Club show, you know, a number of years ago, and now that show has been picked up to go to Edinburgh Fringe
awesome.
in August, and I'm going to go and do that season with them. So yeah, it's super fun. Yeah, I can't wait to get over there. I've been to Edinburgh before, but not Fringe.
Right.
So I've just heard it's an amazing time, and I'm really looking forward to going there with such a great show.
Yeah, cool. So how long's the run for?
It's a month, pretty much.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're doing the whole season. So yeah, just one day off a week, I think, and then shows every other day, and it's great. I was in we did London with Cirque. We did the Royal Albert Hall there in 2014, I think. And during that time, I got up to Edinburgh just for a few days as a holiday, and it's beautiful countryside and beautiful town. But yeah, it's been a long time since I've been there, so really looking forward to going there as a traveler, and then to play the show as well, and see a whole bunch of other shows hopefully as well, and see some friends that live in Europe and stuff. So yeah, looking forward to that. Yeah,
that's cool, man. Yeah, you got heaps going on. It's exciting. Yeah, watching you from here, and looking forward to
thanks, man.
Yeah, catching more of it, and wishing you all the best, man. And look after yourself, and make sure you give yourself time to breathe.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, that's a reminder for sure.
Those kids will keep you on your toes.
Absolutely. No, thanks for having me, man.
No,
This
sweet
has
as
been
Ben.
great.
Take it easy, man, and
No worries.
we'll talk soon. All right.
Absolutely. Thank you so
Cheers,
much.
bro. Cheers.
Cheers.